Hello everyone, and welcome to Sunup. I'm Lyndall Stout. Now that fall is officially here and wheat and canola planting is well underway, farmers are starting to think about nitrogen levels in their fields. So today we begin with some advice from our Extension soil nutrient specialist. With fall here, NRich strips are back in season, and the benefits are better than ever. These high nitrogen strips can determine a field's need for nitrogen throughout the year, saving producers time and money.
We use this NRich strip as a piece of litmus paper, you might say, in a field. We're going to watch it during the year. If it shows up, if that strip of nitrogen shows up in the field greener than everything else, we know it's time to apply nitrogen.
And how that's done is completely up to you.
Commonly, people are using their pre-plant applicators, whether that's an anhydrous applicator, a liquid rig, or a dry spinner spreader. And easily enough, you can just double up. Let's say you're applying 40 pounds of nitrogen to the field with an anhydrous applicator. You just make a second pass over an area and bring that up to 80, and you have your NRich strip. Many people also will go to the co-op and rent a urea spreader for a day and run over their fields, just a single pass over the field, applying 40 to 60 pounds of nitrogen across all their fields and getting it done. Another option for an NRich strip applicator is using a four-wheeler ATV or UTV with a liquid tank on the back. Many people will use a 10-foot boom and use streamer nozzles to direct the nitrogen into the soil or in through the residue.
NRich strips are generally 10 feet wide and 100 yards long, but depending on your field, you may need to make some adjustments.
The more variable a field is, the longer the strip should be, so you can see that variability as it goes. If you go from a good area to a poor area, or from a bottom ground to a side slope. If you have a very homogeneous field or a field that has one soil type and you're basically cutting the same grain across the field, you can shorten it up. When you have multiple soil types in the field or a larger field, many producers are breaking it into multiple NRich strips. So you may have a small one on the south end and a small one on the north end, so you can look at both areas and make judgment calls on that.
NRich strips are not just for grain-only wheat. Producers can use them for dual purpose or graze-out wheat as well, with a few application adjustments.
One of the adjustments you'd make with dual purpose or graze out is a higher upfront rate. The grain only rate would be 40 to 50 pounds of nitrogen, but since we're pulling off forage and hopefully a great deal of forage, we would have to up that NRich strip rate to 100 pounds or better to make sure there's enough in and you don't go deficient. When you're grazing and going to a dual purpose, graze and grain, you need to pull off the cattle about a week before application. We need time for that NRich strip to recover. Some people decide not to pull off because they want the cattle out there as long as possible, so you can enclose around the NRich strip. Get an enclosure, a hay ring in the strip and one outside of the strip is good enough, and let that be out there for a week. It needs to be grazed throughout most of the season, but it needs a week of recovery. That forage has to recover. For graze out, there are people that use the NRich strip for graze out, and they just watch it much like a forage system. We can still take the readings with the sensor. We can still make a rate recommendation, but I highly recommend to contact the county educator and myself, as the rates will need to be slightly adjusted in a graze out condition.